Good morning. So have you ever wondered what a creative and productive hub could be? So have you heard about the concept of the third space or hybrid space? Are you familiar with the Fab City movement? Would you like to know more about it? I guess there are a lot of questions related with this kind of innovative hubs, spaces that create opportunity to transform and improve our territories. So if you are curious about it, this is your space. I am Domenico Di Siena, and this is a Fab City Hub Voices podcast. In this podcast, basically, we talk with the protagonists that are activating this kind of hybrid spaces that we call Fab City Hubs. And you can even, understand in a broader way as creative and productive hubs. So the idea is that during this podcast, we can talk directly with the protagonists that are shaping this kind of spaces. So we can learn from them the challenges they are facing, but also which are, the opportunities for this by, building and shaping this kind of spaces. So this is produced by the Volumes Agency. I am proud to be part of this agency. And what is more important, this is part of an European project called Centrinno, where basically we are supporting the creation of 9 Fab City hubs in Europe. And this is also really related with this idea of circular and productive cities. So in each session, we have the opportunity to meet one of these protagonists. So today we have the opportunity to meet Karin from the Tallinn pilot. So Karin has a background in economics, computer science, and technology governance. Her current interest and her is currently focused on digital commons, open cooperativism, circular economy, and resilient system design. And of course, she is, as I said, Centrinno pilot. She is representing the Centrinno pilot from Tallinn. So hello, Karin, how are you?
Hello, thank you, Domenica, for this opportunity. I'm super happy to share with you everything that we have learned on our journey of establishing our own Fab City Hub in Tallinn. So yeah, looking forward to it.
So I think we will enjoy your presentation. I had the opportunity to have a preview of the presentation. I think it's really interesting, so we will see later. So I remember that in this session, I am with Carlotta. So Carlotta is manager at Volumes, taking care of specifically the Centrinno involvement for Volume, and developed a long research on how actually these hubs are related to the dynamics that reactivate heritage, the center of the city, and promote circular economy. So she will be also helping us today to maybe take the best content and reflection with Karin. So Carlotta, hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Thanks, Domenico. Thanks, Karin, to be here. And I'm happy to be here again after the summer break to hear more voices and what they are doing in the local context. I just wanted to remember that my role is also to invite you to put a question on the chat. That could be the more simplest one or the more conceptual that this is the space to ask your question about your doubts about what they are doing in Tallinn and generally what Fab City Hubs are doing to improve our city and our heritage buildings.
Thanks, thanks, Carlota. I am sure that you will have also your own questions later. So, Karin, now is your time. So we will have, 15, 20 minutes presentation, and then we will go through questions, comments, and ideas. So, Karin, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Can you share? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I was already introduced, but I want to mention it again. So I'm Karin, I'm from Tallinn. I was born in Estonia, and now we are building here the first Fab City Hub in the capital of Estonia. And my goal is to share the story of how we initiated our Fab City Hub creation and what are the main challenges we face and how we solve them or try to solve them. So our Fab City Hub has been brought to life thanks to 2 projects and 2 main partners. One of the projects was already mentioned. It's the Centrinno EU-funded research and innovation project. And now another project has also launched to further develop the hub. It is the reason we were able to build and open the first public makerspace in Tallinn. And the main partners in the 2 projects are Tallinn University of Technology and Tallinn City. So our Fab City Hub is called Kopli 93. It is located in Northern Tallinn, Kopli Peninsula. It is a small peninsula with only about 6,000 people in inhabitants. Kopli was the first and the most industrialized region in Tallinn, and the peninsula was inhabited because of the Industrial Revolution. So the entire peninsula was mainly factories and home for the factory workers. And industries such as railway, shipyards, cotton plants, clay factories, etc., were all part of Kopli. And wherever there are people in the city, culture must follow. So that is why in 1937, the city opened a culture house in the middle of Kopli. It was meant to be an apolitical culture center for the local community. But unfortunately, not so many years after the opening, the Soviet Union military turned this house into a closed sailors' club. And during the 85 years of the time when this building has been existing, it has served also as a school and as a propaganda house. And about the last 20 years or so, the building has been empty and abandoned until in 2020, the Centrinno project started, and we started to give this valuable building a new purpose and meaning. And thanks to our research and action, Kopli 93 is now an experimentation and community center for local resilience and self-sufficiency. So the heritage of Estonia and Kopli is to be highly self-sufficient and community-oriented and locally productive. And that has inspired greatly the mission of Kopli 93 and is now one of the main sources for inspiration when it comes to innovating the city life in Tallinn and making it more sustainable and resilient. So the very long sentence on the slide is our mission. So our mission is to bring people together to revive and upgrade traditional skills and know-how of food production, crafting, building, and repairing by applying innovative and modern techniques such as permaculture, common space peer production, and design thinking in order to make Northern Tallinn communities more resilient for the future. I'm gonna make a tiny pause here so you can read this sentence once more because it's very long and very tricky. So to serve that mission, in 2 years, we have created plenty of things. The first thing we did was to open a community garden on the territory of Kopli 93. In the design and layout of the garden, we used quite a lot of permaculture principles and techniques, but also heritage played an important role in this process. The second thing, or the second achievement, was to open the first community apiary at Kopli 93. And this project was launched with the help of Tallinn Kopli Vocational School, Tallinn Beekeepers Association, and with the help of one local beekeeper / entrepreneur. Kopli is especially good for beekeeping because it has a lot of green spaces and wild areas. Also, many houses and apartment buildings in Kopli have private gardens that host an astonishing amount of tree and berry bush varieties, some of them which are really old and very unique, so not very popular in other places. And so that the head beekeeper actually said that the life of a bee in this apiary is one of like a gourmet chef or gourmet taster because of all of those varieties that are there present in Kopli area. But one of the highlights of this summer in particular was the opening of the makerspace, which is the first community makerspace in Tallinn. And the space was built during the summer and has now been opened for about a month. The space has already proven to be very valuable and popular among the community and the visitors. Finally, I can say most importantly, we have built a community at or of Kopli 93. Those are the people who come together regularly to develop and build a space, to garden, to learn together, to innovate the city and transform their surroundings and their city life more sustainable. The activities behind the main achievements are in the following list. So first, we started with community work parties and traditional working collectives at Kopli 93. This is how we started to build community. But during those activities, what brought us together was building the garden, building the makerspace, and preparing for smaller and bigger events at Kopli 93. So essentially, the people at Kopli 93 were helping us to organize cool and interesting projects for themselves. And to have all the skills for all of those projects that we were doing, we needed trainings. And this is why we also organized various workshops by professional trainers. Additionally, we allowed also self-organized events to take place, events that had nothing to do with any of the projects that we are running, events such as community picnics in the garden, movie nights, other gatherings for holidays, etc. We built also a network of stakeholders that are the main force behind our workshops and trainings. They are the activists, craftspeople, teachers, scientists, etc. They are all the educators at Kopli 93. Kopli 93 is a municipality-owned building, so none of our initiatives would not have been possible without collaborating with the local municipality. But they have welcomed a new story for Kopli 93 and supported it greatly with material and immaterial resources. And to attract all the collaborations and the community and the municipality, we have developed this new story for the building that is inspired by the heritage. An event which has had the biggest impact so far is an annual Makers Festival that we are organizing. It brings together everyone, our community, the network of makers, and the municipality. And the story of COP93 becomes stronger with each of these festivals. And now our priority is to become a strong node in the network of the Fab City. And now I want to give you an overview of the main challenges and key lessons we have learned and experienced on our journey from zero to having a Fab City Hub. So our goal was to build a productive, simple, and sustainable system that serves our mission and does it well. You remember the mission that was on the slide, a very long sentence. So, but as you know, I think it's not very unique that the key challenge in such initiatives is affordability. And that's the reason why I want to emphasize the key challenges surrounding affordability in this presentation. Affordability is a very common challenge, and I think one of the biggest worries for many Fab City hubs, and we are no different. From the beginning of our project, it got clear to us that just competing with the market is not the simplest solution when you are dealing with new areas of life, such as repair culture, creating new business models, strengthening the community relationships, etc. So these are the activities that unfortunately today are difficult to ask money for, at first at least. So our Fab City Hub is in a stage also where it is very tricky to generate any revenue because we are just in the beginning. So we are focusing a lot on learning and experimentation, but most of this work will not guarantee a revenue. COP93 is a depreciated building, so that renting out the space of the culture center is not very easy and it's not very rational at this point. So the service itself, the makerspace, the community, the garden, they still need to be affordable and accessible to almost anyone. We cannot ask money or a ticket from the people who want to use this space. So there has to be a solution around that. So I want to talk about community. Community comes first when you're talking about commons-based operational models. Commons-based operational models have shown to be more affordable and accessible because they tend to minimize lots of costs, but one of them is labor costs. So the first priorities for us was to build a community, essentially a group of people that's gonna build and provide the value that they themselves want to consume. Community are the people for whom we create this Fab City Hub. They also serve as support. They are the volunteer workforce. They are the users and they are the local innovators. They help to create and maintain the space because it serves value for them. COP93 is a platform for value exchange that in almost all of the cases has nothing to do with money exchange. People share their time, their skills, effort, and in return, they have access to the space that serves their needs, the commons. The commons for us are the community, the garden, and the makerspace at the moment. So the garden was built and the makerspace was prepared and furnished by the community itself. We restored old furniture and built new from salvage materials, for example. And for example, we built our working tables from old doors. We restored old tools and metal shelving, etc. So imagining now buying all of this work as a service or buying all of this furniture as new, I think the makerspace would have become like a 3 times more expensive project. We took more than 2 months to do all of this work together with the community. We had lots of fun. We made lots of new friends and learned so many new skills by doing everything ourselves. So on this slide, we have a few pictures from our working collectives where we prepared the makerspace. And now, like looking back, I can remember that those working collectives that we had every week to prepare the space, the makerspace, each week it got more and more popular. So the last week and two, we had more than like 20 people there building, repairing stuff, helping, furnishing, and people from all different kind of nationalities and ages. And these are a few pictures from restored tools in the makerspace. I myself, I'm very impressed by those tiny projects, and they happen so quickly. So, but yeah, coming back to the community part, I want to quickly share a few more lessons about community building. First, it should be easy for people to participate. That is why most of our important target group was anyone who is local. Most of the community members live in 1 kilometer range, and it makes it very easy for them to stop by and participate. Secondly, community is as sensitive as children. When making decisions, even if they are small and obvious, people should be involved if you want them to make it feel so that the resource they are using are something that they are also owners of. Thirdly, people always surprise us with their knowledge and talents, and people's motivations vary a lot. And that is why communities are so successful. They are like puzzles that come together. And finally, in the summer, we organized co-design workshops to set in place the community values and principles that guide our actions at COP93. One of them is that COP93 is not a service, but a community. And I think it really sums up well our actions. And it is all about human connection, really. We are here for the relationships and because we feel inspired, supported, and cared for. On this picture, we took a moment to celebrate the birth of a new community member. Another community principle that we have is that we value embeddedness, which is to say embeddedness is to be in one place long enough to see the trees grow and things changing. So when you just share the experience of life as a human with the community on a deeper level, it creates something more valuable than any space or any physical place can compete with. So the second big challenge with Fab City Hub creation is the space, and an affordable space, to be more precise. So people tend to gather around resources or causes that are about resources. So of course we needed a space to do anything. We did not have the money to buy a place. So the next best option was to make a community hub as a service, or a service that the city provides to its citizens, or the citizens themselves provide it to themselves. So in our times that are troubled by various crises, building a self-sufficient and resilient community seemed like the common goal for almost everybody. So makerspaces and communities just make sense when you have a crisis. So a narrative was attractive to the city, and it just happened to be so that there was an empty and old culture center waiting. And of course, we had to give something back as well. And something that was very valuable to do by ourselves was that we found a way how to use the otherwise unproductive parts of the territory of COP93, such as the garden, such as the old garage with a collapsed roof. So we offered to make something out of it, and now we are here. So in this picture, these are the garages before and during the construction. You can see that they were in a pretty bad shape, and this is how it looks like now. To move on to the topic of affordable teachers, mentors, materials, and tools. So teachers are the people who we need to raise the competency of everybody else. At COP93, we offer a platform for educators. There are plenty of students, schools, activists, and teachers that need projects for study or for graduation, or just something to do at the local level. So, and the community can learn from all of those collaborations. And on the final note, I would like to add 2 more things about communication. The first one is that we do not communicate to the masses. In the end, how many people fit into one community? And secondly, the focus should be on the narrative. People are attracted to you because of the shared values. And it is all from my side. Thanks for listening, and I'm looking forward to answering the questions.
Thanks, Karin, perfectly in time. So thanks for the presentation. I really enjoyed particularly, I think it's really useful, the lessons you shared with us. This last one was really inspiring to me, related to the communication. So maybe we can talk about it later. So Carlotta, what do you think?
I think it was amazing. It was really, really nice to hear all the activities, all the things you could do in 2 years, in just 2 years. But I think the work starts way before, because as you said, before a space, there is a community. So I don't think the community started with the project. It starts with something that was already there. And so I was curious to understand where all these people come from. How do you, maybe way before Centrinno and way before this project, how this idea, for example, of self-resiliency and self-sufficiency and resiliency come from, I think is an idea that is shared from the community. So yeah, my question is to understand a little bit the birth of this, what makes start?
So I think the key or the core of the narrative was born when I was doing my studies in university, and I dug a bit more deeper into sustainability. And what I found was that we should be talking about sustainability as it is resilience, because right now many of the actions that we are doing in our society, in policy making, in innovation, are directed towards keeping things the way they are, just switching out the operating model behind that, or switching out where the energy comes from. So, but the key idea here is that people do not really want to change. So we try to keep the same lifestyle or the same way we have been living to continue. But resilience takes everything into pieces and tries to put them together so that the systems, the society, the people, the lifestyle does not require so much energy anymore. So it's really about transforming the lifestyles. And it got me really thinking that what can we do on the local level, on the community level, in our lifestyles, in the way that we are innovating to make this idea of resilience come to life. So basically how to take things apart and put them together in a more productive way so that we don't have to use so much resources. And also this idea is greatly inspired by the way that people were living like just in like 50 years ago. One special thing I think about Estonia is that because we were not very developed until the collapse of the Soviet Union, many generations still have lots of hand skills and crafting skills and skills that make each person resilient. So for example, we have this theme, grandma and grandpa skills, because most grandmas still know how to grow food, and most older people still know how to repair almost anything because they just had the need to do so. But our generation is becoming more and more incompetent in such activities because we are getting super specialized in all of other things and not just the handcrafts. But this is the story that actually connects everyone, because when COVID started, which was like a huge crisis for everyone, and now the war, then people start understanding that there are moments when you have to be prepared to take care of yourself. and people understood that they are completely, like, they don't have anything to keep themselves alive. So then you remember that you had this grandmother or grandfather who knew how to do anything, whose electricity bill is super, super small because they are just very capable of taking care of themselves no matter what. So now at COP93, it sounded like a perfect place to like revive this heritage of doing things yourself. So I think the community was already forming when COVID started, actually, because people understood that they do not have a community. A community is not your friends and it's not your family, it's the people, it's like the ecosystem around you, the people you live together with. So the self-organizing part on the community level started already before the Centrinno project started. We just gave the people a platform where they can officially come together, and we provide them trainings, tools, a platform for collaboration and sharing this worry or this inspiration. So yeah, this is how this story started.
I'm muted, oh, as always. Thanks, Karin. I want to insist a little bit on the concept of the community, because I'm really curious also about the difficulties to deal with a community that in your case is very diverse. I remember that you share the diversity of language that there is among people, but I also imagine the diversity of backgrounds, history. In one of your slides, you said that you built a common story about COP93, but how did these stories is built? Because I think a heritage, I mean, and what we want to say, this is our story, it could be very conflictual in communities so diverse. So I was wondering, how did you deal with this diversity and you come up with a cohesive history for all that is important for all?
Mm-hmm. So because of our activities, one of the main values that brings the people there in COP93 are nature, or just the care for environment, and the community itself, just to take care of the people. So these are like two very core things that bring those people there. And what we discovered in our research, it wasn't so that just we started talking about that COP93 is this thing, we should do like this and that in there, but we started researching and experimenting. Is this the story that clicks, or is this the story that clicks? So we made some tests, and something that we discovered was that the story about like resilient grandmothers and grandfathers is something that connects many nationalities. So the stories that we have from our grandparents is very similar to the stories that people have from other countries, because the life was just so different just 50 or 100 years ago. We have just transformed like this. The way that we are living at the moment in our society is very unique, very new, very flashy, fast, but things were not always like this. But I think there are something valuable. There are some valuable lessons we can still learn from the past and bring them to the future. So at one hand, like diversity is, or like this very multinational, multi-age community is tricky, because we have language barriers. In some of the cases, we have 3 main languages there. We have Estonian, English, and Russian. And very often we need like somebody translating something to someone. Luckily, there have been formed some groups of people that can easily communicate with each other and create those bridges for communication among each other. So it turns out this has not been as big of an issue as we were afraid of. But one other thing that we have been like, that we won, that we have such a diverse group, is that we could even say that Estonia, like the people that have been living in Estonia, in Tallinn, are, let's say, we are quite traumatized nation because of the past. And when we are talking about common resources and doing things with the community, it sounds or like it creates this worry of communism or something. Like some relations, like if you look at the facts, it's not the case at all, but people just have this allergy against anything that is shared, anything that looks like a common thing. But other people from other countries do not have this trauma. So for them, like sharing or doing things together is much more natural, or they don't have this fear, but it really helps to decrease the anxiety of the entire group, because many people are very just easygoing about it and are very welcoming of this collaboration.
Wow, thanks. I was wondering also about if you can tell more about the relationship you have with the municipality, which is I think is fundamental for this for the work you are doing, and to understand how did you align with the broader objectives of the entire city, and if you have to tell someone else how you can have the municipality on board, because it could give access to spaces and also to bake you up for the activities. Yeah, if you tell this story and how it works, the difficulties also to keep this collaboration in the long term. I'm always scared about for in some politics change with the years, and what are the basic point you can align with a municipality, because this could keep going in the future.
Yes, so thanks for the question. I think it's a very important question. So first, our resilience, like the narrative towards resilience and self-sufficiency, started with the need of more ecological cities or more sustainable cities. So this is where we understood that we have to just rearrange all of the pieces to make it so that we need less energy, we need less effort, and we need more capacity to deal with any bad stuff that might happen around us. And when COVID started, then people finally understood that, okay, I think like community is something that we need to be more capable of taking care of ourselves. So when we started our project, it was a very like, it just made sense. We didn't have to explain to people why communities or why like community resilience is important. But when like just the people around you are gonna click with this story that you're telling, that it's very logical that the municipality or the people chosen to govern those people also start to think about that. And why our resilience story really clicked with the city and the local municipality is that when the war started, this was the time that in Estonia, the municipalities were the front line. And what happens when you're front line is that you do not have any energy, or you have less energy to deal with anything operational or any crisis that happens actually with the local people, because everybody was dealing with refugees and like a panic abroad. So it really teaches the municipality that there are some times when the local communities might be they might be like alone on their own with their problems. So if you go to them with this narrative that we create this place where people are capable of providing anything they need for themselves in this place, so that they require less help or less support, less organization from the authorities, it just makes a more stable society, a more prepared, a more happier society for everybody. And I think resilience or community is just this way of life, that there are many things, many services, valuable knowledge, skills, even products that you can have or you can gain from the people just switching skill, or like just switching skills or sharing skills, that you give something to some person and they give you something back without exchanging money. Everybody wins. But this is not the thing that the market can provide to the people. So it has to come from the municipality, because it's like intangible thing, an intangible service or value that you provide. So yeah, if you go to the municipality with the story that the only thing you have to do is not to like stop us, like basically just allow us to be. You don't have to do anything else. We will do everything because the people are behind that. The people want it, the people need it. So this is why it's been very easy, because we do not go there that we need, like, I don't know, to restore the entire building and like do all sorts of crazy, fancy, luxurious things. No, we just tell them that you have a useless garden and we do something incredible with it. And they're like, okay. So yeah, this is how it's been going. But, you know, like the thing with policy is that it can always change. But I hope that for the future, the potential of us doing even better or even more community centers or Fab City hubs that we have built are popping up like all around Tallinn is much higher than right now.
Yeah, I think thanks a lot, because you touch upon very, very interesting question and on the value these places have in responding to unexpected facts, but also to respond to what the institution cannot do by themselves. And those places are those places where answer can come and where finally the community is your resource. So it's yeah, and attached to this question, I wanted to ask how do you see the scalability of this example in other area of Estonia? And you partially answer in the sense that it's something that emerged as something needed. And are you seeing something locally or in the region that could make think that other places, that what you are doing, it could be an example that could be replicated in other area in Estonia? Are you in contact with someone else that want to build something similar to what you have done, etc.?
Yes, of course, like we have been drawing attention from all around Estonia, and just saying from like we are operating in Tallinn, and Tallinn is a huge organization. So our closest collaborations are with like two departments, Northern Tallinn department and the strategic department of Tallinn municipality. But just by seeing and feeling how much support we have right now, we have gained, and how much people are supporting the initiative, how like we have been wrote into some of the development strategies or some like very important documents. Is that something it is that we need? There has been a project launch that is opening a whole bunch of new maker spaces next to waste recycling centers. So these are not exactly, I think, the same kind of community hubs, but I think there is a potential actually to become one. And like our goal, because it is a very like important experiment, and I think the city and Northern Tallinn really understands how important this experiment is, because when we succeed, like we have already been very successful, but I think in the long run, just time will tell how sustainable the way that we manage the community and this system really works out. And we have still like time to make mistakes, and those mistakes are very important for everybody else who follows or who will start their own community hub. And so yeah, we understand that we are part of this experimentation. And I think when we have this intangible system or a business model or anything that works in this Estonian context with these people that we have, then it is very scalable, because we like nobody plans to ask money for any, like to share this knowledge. So I think this is the core. And actually, like as of my experience, I'm very, very keen on and interested in communities and community self-organization, and seeing that actually building such a community in the city is the most difficult thing you can do. Like in the smaller cities, the community is already in place. Like you don't have to have like a specific resource or something that brings the people together, because the communities are not so scattered, they're not so weak. but in smaller places, the networks are even stronger. So that's why we have been like getting a lot of attention from different communities around Estonia, just asking for, or like asking for the experience, or just asking for this motivation or inspiration or some like guiding principles, let's say. Yeah.
Thanks, Karin. I have a question and a comment also here. I really liked the message you shared that was don't communicate to the masses. I think was really inspiring. And in my opinion, it's also connected with what you just shared. So my question is, I think that when we engage to create something that is transformative, like this, this kind of space, and you work with local communities, and we have your, the partnership with the local authorities and city council, there is all the time in the underline this fear of lack of legitimacy. So when you innovate, you are creating something new. Often there is this problem with what will be the results that justify the engagement of local communities, public resources, etc. And a lot of time I see the need to basically use this kind of project to promote and communicate to everyone in doing this, mass communication that actually is not making any favor to the project. So I'm really curious if you can share a little bit more, maybe something that you experienced that drive you to this knowledge. So I'm really curious about it. So if you can share a little bit more.
So I understand one of the first questions might be that what's like how to create this legitimacy and how to seem or like really be important enough to bother someone with your innovation, right? So one of the strategies we have used is that we draw the Northern Tallinn municipality who operates the building directly into the projects. So what we did was that like Centrinno started to, or helped us to build a community, to really start a narrative, the research going behind that, the activities, the training. But like Centrinno did not provide any resources to build a makerspace. Like it's like infrastructure, like building and stuff, like too expensive for a new project like that. So we applied for another project. Basically, we wrote an application for a project and gave it to the Northern Tallinn municipality. So they handed it in and got the money. So we still were operating like on the site, helping the things to succeed, but they were owners of this innovation. They are now the ones who are telling that they opened the space, they did everything, and they did. They helped us a lot. They like provided some financial resources to do some like extra work on the site. So they really stepped in. And I think it's like, if you're like, I think many of the societies are in sort of like political crisis as well. Nobody knows what's good or what unites us. So I think the resilience is something, even like when you have a lot of like populism surrounding in the politics and lots of people who do not have any story that connects them, then I think like the story of resilience and making things on your own, like really is very attractive to all kinds of people. And that is how like this narrative, or they were like the municipality was convinced to take this project on board by themselves. So, but if like a part of the city or the local municipality takes this step to be responsible for a project like this, tell them that it's their innovation and they are trying their best to provide something for a community like this. So that creates a more like sustainable basis for the continuation of the project, because this is a new model, a new like a service we can say that the city provides to its citizens. There's a saying that the makerspaces are the new libraries of our society, because we are so interrelated with technology. So it's not enough that you just read a book, you just have to touch things and gain the skills and gain this technological intuition. So it's not enough to read a book anymore. So that's why the makerspaces, tool libraries and libraries in general actually go really hand in hand. So it makes sense that the city provides it's themselves to the citizens, or at least it's not forbidding it. So, and you had another question as well, but did I cover enough for all of the questions?
Yeah, for really clear. So really, I liked also how you explained the situation. I think it would be really useful for the listener. So maybe my question also adds this side of communication. So how you deal with the communication towards the whole community in Tallinn. So how they understand, or maybe not, I don't know, the project.
Okay, so the question is about how we communicate for the community.
Exactly.
So yeah, our strategy actually is to make the communication also as resilient as possible. So that's why I said that don't communicate to the masses, because I think in many cases we just try to get the attention of as much people as possible, get the events as popular as possible, to just, like, I don't know, get the masses, get more people. But what we did was that we understand that with each relationship, like the more time that you invest in it, the more you can get back. So it's not about the number of people, but it's about the quality of the people or the relationships. So yeah, as I said in this presentation, is that in the end, like how many people do fit in one community? Because if it's a common resource, like a resource that many people use as their own, like at some point there's too many people and you cannot keep track of what has been done or what has been missing, or like, yeah, this garden only fits around like a certain amount of people, and the makerspace can be used only as by a certain amount of people. So what we really needed to focus on was creating really strong, trustworthy, sustainable relationships. And our main communication tool actually was a tradition of working collectives or work parties that happened once every week. This was the time when all new, like, interested folks or activists or new community members could participate and really get face-to-face interaction with us, with other community members. So this tradition, I think, is one of the key or one of the main communication tools. Right now, we can say, yes, we have a Facebook page, we have Instagram, we have quite a lot of following, but we also have like a private group that not everybody can get into. You have to come to the place to really see us, we get to know each other, then you can get into the private group, and so everybody can interact, share whatever they wish or need. And also, I think one of the bases for this communication to work, to really like what is the in group and what is the out group, this has to be quite clear for a community. But one of the things with the garden that we started was that each community member like gets their own garden box. We also tried the solution of having also shared boxes, but it just did not work because people did not get this relationship of owning the place. But if they are like renting the box for free, it still creates this like ownership connection, and that's why it makes them more attached to the ground. Like the next thing that we are now tackling, how to make it clear for the makerspace if you're in the community or just like a random visitor. This is like a challenge that we are now tackling. But yeah, the communication for the general public is to get a person who's really interested, who shares the same values, to come to COP93. We believe that if you're just like someone who walks by, then there's not much that you can gain from knowing something or a little bit about the activities that we are doing there. You can gain most if you are really part of it and invested. And if COP93 is too far or it's too inconvenient for you to participate, then it's even more like it motivates the reason for creating new community spaces like that are more easy for this person to participate, or a little bit different to fit the needs of another community better. So yeah.
Karin, I'm afraid we reached the end of the session. So it was, yeah, so rich and interesting, but we have to close. So as always, we were left wanting more, but we have to close. I remind you that so all the public, that the audience, that the session will be published on the Centrinno website, so in the coming weeks, so you can have access to it there. And also don't forget to subscribe to Volumes podcast, where you can have also the access to this this session. So once again, thanks to all the participants. Karin, thanks a lot. I enjoyed a lot the session. Thanks, Carlotta, for all the answer and the help you brought to the table to have a debate. And see you in the next session in 2 weeks. We will have a new.
Yeah.
Want to say more about it, Carlotta?
No, yeah, we will have a new invited. That would be Geneva, another Fab City Hub that is being built in Europe. And yeah, I wanted to thank all of you. Karin, it was so inspiring, really. And I marked some interesting things that you share with us. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Karin. Thanks all. Bye-bye. Ciao.